Okay, so yesterday's post didn't really resonate with me as much, but today's is awesome because it is a
Nice.
mindset that I've been trying to really embrace in this whole entrepreneur journey. So, you want me to read it?
Well, did you read yesterday's?
I think so because it was the one, it was like very philosophical, right?
Oh, we didn't do yesterday's. Oh my gosh. You read last time. So tell you what, let me read and then you
Oh, okay.
can just
Yes.
go forward. Here we go. Scarcity and abundance. There are two ways to think about achievement and the idea of getting ahead. Perhaps it's a race. Getting ahead means beating the competition. But perhaps it's simply an effort to move forward. A rising tide lifts all boats. And if you want your boat to have plenty of water under it, that's far more effective than trying to push all the other boats down. If we play games where we can win without others losing, we're more likely to succeed. Luxury goods are based on scarcity. If everyone had a Birkin bag, it wouldn't be worth much. But luxury goods don't really matter that much, particularly if the culture we're in is struggling. The most resilient and effective form of achievement is the resilience and peace of mind that comes from knowing that our work is contributing to a culture that is moving forward. Not so others lose, but so we can find a place that feels like winning. I'm going to read that line again because I read it wrong and it may have changed the meaning. Not so others lose, but so we find a place that feels like winning. Abundance scales, scarcity never does.
Whoa.
Wow. Mic drop.
I'm
Uh,
very passionate about this topic because the organizations that I've worked with, when they're stuck, I find it's typically in that scale situation. There's a few ways to call it. Some people call it whitewater. That's this guy, Les McKeown. He kind of coined this for like predictable success as his company. And he coined this term called whitewater, which is like in between, startup to scale up. And then other people like Larry Osborne calls it in his book Sticky Teams, like going from the basketball team to the football team.
okay.
And that is usually they're stuck because everything's breaking down. What worked at the basketball team isn't working at the football team anymore. What worked in startup doesn't work in scale up. And so,
Well, that's
especially
good
though,
because when you said sticky
yeah.
teams, I thought of middle schoolers, like just being
Ah,
sweaty and sticky. I'm just, okay, sorry.
that's true. That's kind of how a startup feels is like a bunch of middle schoolers. Yeah. Um, but yeah, and so there's the especially if there's a founder, what happens is they're like, "Well, I got us here on duct tapes and paper clips. I got us here on elbow grease and burning the midnight oil. Why aren't all you people doing that? And why is that not working anymore?" And so they start to try to gain back control and because they have scarcity mindset, because they have to sacrifice everything they've built up until that point again in order to scale, and that's really scary. And so you'll find my experience has been that that founder or executive leader, it's natural for them to try to like it's human nature to have that scarcity mindset, to try to get back the reins, to try to force and control everything. But in order to truly scale, I found that leaders and organizations that do have that abundance mindset that go, you know what, there's room for great companies out here that do this really well. We're just going to try to be the best. And I think about Sarah Blakely. I heard her say once, when Spanx, her company, started to take off, there were a lot of dupes. People were ripping off, her designs and all the things. And she said, I mean, I don't know if I hope that this is still true, but at the time she said, I've never sued any of them because I look at it as a good thing. Like they're gonna
Mm.
buy the dupe and they're gonna be disappointed. So then they're gonna come buy the real thing. And it forces me to get better, to focus on the customer, focus on quality when there's people out there that are duping my amazing product. And so I just love that mindset, that abundance mindset and I think scarcity just forced we're like I've used the analogy sometimes of like if you're running a race, the way that you get to your destination is by looking ahead. But the moment you look to the side, you slow yourself down because you're not looking where you need to go. You're looking to the side. And scarcity mindset is that you're looking at your competitors, you're trying to take everybody down rather than focusing on your customer and what you do best. So I could talk about this for hours.
It's great. It's great. Do you think there's alignment here? I was trying to, Simon Sinek has recently talked about, and so does Seth, but the infinite game, the infinite and finite
Mhm.
games, um, which, yeah, I feel like the infinite game is abundant. It, yeah, I think I'm just trying to connect different thinkers, different labels that may or may not connect with people.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm like pondering a bunch now because I agree. I also like, here's some other thoughts that may or may not help me sort this out. Like, there's been this culture that I've seen, especially in technology, software development, like an encouragement to build in public. And
Mm.
I think that's really cool, except for the fact that now more than ever, you can screenshot somebody's work and throw
Mhm.
it into an AI powered something. And then with two prompts, you can have a working prototype of their exact thing that they are in the process of building. And so I don't know if I'm just stating that like I wrestle with the fear and the insecurity of the scarcity when it comes to that like charge of like, yeah, build in public, get eyes on your work, or like put it out there on LinkedIn so that all the other hustlers can just grab it and sell it first. And it's like,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not even, I'm kind of working on some ideas, but I'm not even the founder who's seen a level of success to go get spooked on that. But I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't, I don't know that I don't know that I feel like that would be the best thing for me right now. I don't know. So, what do you do with
Yeah.
all what I just said there?
I think that's not scarcity. Like, I think there's a difference between
Okay.
scarcity and working smart. And I think that is,
Okay.
like, yeah, I think it's a good conversation though, because yeah, what is the difference between like full, like it's kind of to me like what you were saying is sparking for me like vulnerability and oversharing, right? Like it's like,
Mhm.
and so it's good to be vulnerable, but there's times where you do need to hold things back because you're protecting yourself or other people or, and there's that balance there. It doesn't mean you have to share every single detail that goes on in your life. That's not what vulnerability is. And I think with what you're sharing, there is like, okay, go back to Sarah Blakely. She was working on her new shoes company that we talked about a couple days ago, Sneaks, for 7 years. Like, I can only imagine she only told a very small group of people, and you bet they all had to sign an NDA, you know? So it doesn't mean that she had scarcity mindset, but she wanted, I imagine, I would love, Sarah, if you're listening to this, I would love to interview you. Um, but that would be a great question to ask her, right? Like, why not tell the world that you're working on a shoe company, But I imagine it was just really wanting to get it as right as possible before launching and protecting the creative process because we talked about this a few days ago. Um, of like, yeah, there was one of Seth's thing that was about the creative process where it was like, be careful who you let into that process.
Yeah, that's
And so
right.
if you're
Feedback.
building publicly, it's not just about that somebody could rip off your idea, but the criticizers who are gonna be the loudest are the ones that are too afraid to do it themselves, and so do you really want their voices in your head if you really believe in what you're doing, where you post it on LinkedIn and people are like, "Oh, that's stupid," or "This person's already doing that," or "You've got this wrong." Okay, maybe or maybe not, And so I think there's a difference between scarcity mindset um, and just working smart and trying to protect an idea before it's time to launch it to the world.
Yeah. Here's another angle to get your input on. I feel like today is Coach Holly. It's Friday Coach
Oh,
Holly time.
sign me up.
So also, in recent years, I've spent a lot of time listening to this guy, Chris Lockhead. I think I've mentioned his name a few times. He's like and Eddie Yoon. They have a group called the Category Pirates, which I love how they talk about category creation and the phrase that they use that I love to think about it and wrestle with it is that different is better than better. But
Ooh.
at some point, you kind of like, so in your manifesto or in the languaging, to use another Chris Lockhead word, he's like, it's about the languaging. It's about helping to show the vision of what you're doing differently and why people should follow you into this new category and differentiate you from the others. So you may see where I'm going here. Like, how do you have abundance mindset and yet also, in a way, this is messy. In a way, leverage scarcity for the sake of getting people
Oh,
on board with your.
I see.
So it's not
Yeah.
like I've heard the phrase demonize. There's a salesy guy who, uh, yeah, he says demonize your opposition. And while I
Demonize
understand
your yeah, what does that mean? Ugh, I
in
don't
like
like
selling to say like you have to be so extreme and saying that's terrible, you do not want that, and this is what you do want. They are, whatever the different adjectives would be, like they're antiquated, they're whatever, and it's like, but it does feel like that rubs up against this, like if you have to bring others down for the sake of bringing you up, then like that doesn't scale. The abundance scale, scarcity never does. So
oh gosh, yeah.
so like take that off the table because it's extreme language, which is like it's polarizing, which is kind of probably why he says it, the salesy guy. But like back to Chris Lockhead, and I'm sure Chris covers this at some point in one of his many books. But like, how do you have an abundance mindset? Scarcity never scales, but also like create a clear category, clear vision. This, not this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm wrestling with that. Like,
It's a good question. Well, yeah, so it's like I'm thinking of like my coaching certification, which I've only done 2. We have our next one in a couple weeks. And I limit it to 10. Like I don't want more than 10 people in there right now because I feel like, I mean, you've been through it. Like you went through it with 5 people, I think. And even that was a really good number. But anyways, so yeah, when I advertise it, I use scarcity and I say there's only 10 spots, right? And so like the one for August, we have 6 people signed up. We only have 4 left. And it's like it's like a FOMO, like fear of missing out. And there is a sales book that talks about FOMO, using FOMO as a strategy. So yeah, it's using and that does work because we do as humans need often that like trigger of like, oh man, I'm going to miss out if I don't move on this. And so I think that does work when you're trying to get people to like sign up for something or buy a specific thing. Um, as long as it's true. I don't like when people lie about it and say like, 2 seats left, and then you go and you're like, there's actually 10 left. You were just lying. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that's interesting. It's like, is that what Seth is saying by scarcity doesn't scale? Whereas like maybe he would say, yeah, don't do that. Instead, just build your tribe of raving fans and then you'll never have to worry about scarcity. And that's
Mm,
the abundance would be like maybe rather than me trying to fill 10 seats, maybe that would be like my scarcity mindset as an owner. Why don't I go try to find 100 people that love what I'm doing? Like maybe that's his
mm.
challenge to like stop trying to think about filling these few seats and go find the tribe of hundreds and thousands. I don't know. It's a good question.
Let me reread the second to last little paragraph here because I feel like it's kind of where he's hammering on his point,
Okay.
and then I want you to tell people where they can go sign up for your
Oh,
Ready,
sales plug.
the Ready Network.
Yeah.
Um, the most resilient and effective form of achievement is the resilience and peace of mind that comes from knowing that our work is contributing to a culture that is moving forward, not so others lose, but so we find a peace. Oh my gosh, I screwed this sentence up last time. Not so others lose, but so we find a place that feels like winning. The most resilient and effective form of achievement. So in a way, I also feel like he's saying like, hey, you want to use scarcity? It's an option, but it's not what ultimately scales or fulfills. It's not resilient and effective. It's not the
Mhm.
most resilient and effective. Um, yeah, yeah. You can imagine if you took the mindset of demonize rather than like contribute. Like if and let's say those are the two, like kind of here, contributing to a culture that's moving forward. Um, you can just imagine like if your mindset was just always to quote unquote demonize the competition or the opposition. Um, yeah.
Don't get mad at me, but I'm gonna say it, and we're not gonna talk about it, but I'm just gonna
Uh-oh.
let's look at our political landscape. I mean, that
Oh,
Trump's strategy was to demonize the opposition, and you could argue that Kamala's was trying to be like the forward-looking, hopeful, optimistic, and Trump won. So that's a whole nother I know Donald Miller did that whole, like, looking back at the 2016 campaign.
that was fascinating. Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I think that's what's so hard about this conversation is fear and scarcity does work. It does to move people to action. So it's not that it doesn't work, but to Seth's point, is that what is ultimately fulfilling? And so if you're listening to this, it doesn't matter like I'm not saying you should or shouldn't vote for either person, but I'm just saying from a in this conversation around scarcity and abundance and like the demonizing the opposition, like we've seen people create movements by doing both. And that's the scary part is both work. So then it's we get to choose what story do we want to be a part of. So
Right,
anyway,
right. And one of the loudest versions of that in politics was the Obama's campaign, right? That was like
right,
a
of hope.
master class of hope and moving forward that captured
Yeah,
a generation. So
it's so true.
anyway,
Okay, on that, I know. Open a massive can of worms
we're
there.
gonna close out politics.
We're gonna
Hey,
But, yes, if you do wanna join our Ready Network coaching certification, it's August 21st and 22nd. We literally do have 4 spots left of the 10 that I'm limiting it to. And you can go to thereadynetwork.com. We're doing 50% off. I think that's on the landing page, but since it is still new, I'm not charging full price yet. We're doing 50% off. I think we're gonna do that through October. But anyway, join us in August. And this is for people who are so for example, I was on a call with my friend Jeremy the other day and he was like, "Holly, I'm coaching these founders and like I get on there and like I know I'm helping them, but it's just more of an art than a science. Like I don't have a process or a framework." I was like, "Dude, you're perfect for my Ready framework." And he was like, "Show me." And so anyway, we went to the website and he was like, "This is exactly what I want." And he was like, "I'm signing up. We're doing it." So Jeremy's going to be with
awesome.
us. So people who are coaching or helping others, whether you're in-house at a company or you are a coach or a consultant, that's where I was. I was just doing everything by gut intuition or intuition. And now I have a framework that I use and I'm teaching others to use. So thereadynetwork.com, click on certification and you can find out more. And then Daniel, I want to hear, did you get a present in the mail at your house
Uh-oh.
yesterday?
Oh gosh. What was I supposed to?
Yeah, it was delivered. So I don't know where it went, but
Oh no. I may be in our mailbox. I'm really bad about checking the mail.
okay, well,
So maybe
then
that's
you'll get
a
to,
go check your mailbox and then on Monday we'll talk about it.
yes.
Aw, fun. Cliffhanger.
There you go. Yeah, so when you get home today, check your mailbox.
Okay, that's awesome.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Have a great Oh, and also, is this our 3rd or 4th week to do this?
I think it's our third week down.
That's amazing. When we get to a month, I think it would be really fun. So 1 more week. I think it would be really fun to do, like, a reflection of what we've learned doing this for 30 days or whatever it's been. So,
Yeah, crazy.
all right. Well, go to sethsaidwhat.com. Let's maybe leave politics out of it. But we'd love to hear your thoughts. Sorry, that was my fault. But, a thought-provoking conversation.
Yeah,
And I hope you have a great Friday and a good weekend, brother. Talk to you
yeah, you
later.
too. Bye, Holly.
Bye.